The idea that governments, which from my point of view are too powerful and too inclined to war and too inclined to abuse today, would have a tool that would allow them to eliminate people's savings, people's medium of exchange, people's wealth, if those people didn't behave in the way that the big thinkers wanted, is terrifying. The combination of the fairly well-documented social scoring being undertaken now in the People's Republic of China, with the ability of central bank digital currencies with built-in features that make them cancelable, is absolutely scary. Remember, not too long ago, Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada decided that people who had made contributions to a group that was opposed to him politically, the truckers of Canada, should have their bank accounts, their brokerage accounts, and some of their insurance products seized. These people had made these contributions, among other things, before Mr. Trudeau, without recourse to the courts, by the way, had retroactively made them illegal. And Mr. Trudeau used the power of the state to affect the outcome of a domestic political dispute. The idea that governments around the world would have the ability to silence political opponents or to punish people whose own actions were not in the interest of the big thinkers is absolutely terrifying to me. It's simply put, other than nuclear weapons, the worst idea I've ever heard. My own belief, I guess taught me by 50 years as an adult watching politicians, is that their lust for power can't be diminished. And from the point of view of the political class, I think this is an amazing tool to accomplish whatever it is that they might want to accomplish. Were there voices, as an example, that were particularly effective about something convenient to the politicians, say quantitative easing, and those voices questioned the efficacy of the political class, it would be very tempting, were you a member of the political class, to silence that voice simply by confiscating his or her private wealth. Canceling it, in effect. This word cancel, which has become so popular, is taking on a brand new meaning. I think that people need maybe to review the basic concept of what private wealth and private money is. Money is maybe a means of expressing your will. It's also a way that society keeps score. And I don't mean keep score in terms of who's ahead, but rather you become wealthy by providing goods or services that other people are willing to pay you for. They value that good and service more than they value their own private savings. You become wealthy by providing a good or service. And the idea that a group of politicians can cancel the benefit that someone has received by providing a good or service, by the way, canceling it obviously without the will of the person being canceled, that sounds almost like the dictionary definition of slavery. And I think if people begin to review the issue in that sense, if they view this as a technology that makes it more efficient for the state to enslave them, to confiscate some measure of the value that they created for other people through their skills and through their labor, then perhaps there would be a more thorough discussion of these issues. I think that if they're not concerned, they should be. De Gaulle described the United States' possession, if you will, of the reserve currency status as exorbitant privilege. It is precisely the fact that ours is the deepest, most liquid, most transparent financial market in the world that allows us to do the quantitative easing, which is to say the counterfeiting, that we have done. We export our deficit to other countries as a sort of a fee that we get, we being Americans, get for maintaining the world's reserve currency. I need to say that the enemy of our status as a reserve currency is not cited in Moscow or Beijing or Buenos Aires or Rio, or Sao Paulo. It's cited in the United States. The weaponization of the U.S. dollar, the weaponization of the SWIFT banking system, the twin deficits and debts which erode confidence in U.S. Treasury securities means that the real threat to the dollar doesn't come from the BRICS. It comes from Congress and the voters. I think it's important in this discussion, too, to clear up a misconception. They are describing a currency that's backed by gold, but they don't have enough gold to back the quantity of transactions that they expect to have transpire with this currency. What I think people should understand that this currency is denominated in gold. Backed by gold suggests that if you had 100,000, quote, bricks, that you could submit those bricks and they would give you the gold. Good luck with that. It is a mistake to consider this to be a gold-backed currency because they don't have enough gold. It's a mistake, too, to think that they could acquire the gold because most of the countries that make up the so-called BRICS, every country, frankly, with the exception of China and Saudi Arabia, don't have economies that generate enough surplus that they could buy sufficient gold to back even a fraction of the currency that would be required to maintain their economy. I believe that you do probably need gold to back up every dollar. I suspect what this will evolve into is a multilateral trading mechanism that allows countries to settle surpluses and deficits between them as a way around the U.S. dollar. I do not believe that this will supplant the dollar, nor do I believe, frankly, that special drawing rights will supplant the dollar as a reserve currency in my lifetime. For the record, I'm 70. I do think that we're evolving into a multipolar world, and that more societies will find ways to finance trade outside the dollar than they have done in the past. So I believe that the supremacy of the U.S. dollar will continue to be, quote, chipped away at. But I believe that we're moving towards a multipolar world, not a world dominated by the euro, the yen, or the BRICS. I think that we began to weaponize the U.S. dollar probably in the Bush administration. Certainly the traditional role of the Republicans, or the alleged role of the Republicans in terms of keeping the deficits in track, is something that went away going all the way back to the Reagan years. But I suspect that the weaponization of the U.S. dollar and the weaponization of the SWIFT banking system, and I'm no political scientist, probably began in the Bush administration. Understand that I wouldn't say I'm bipartisan, I'm nonpartisan. I think the track record of the Democrats is awful, and the track record of the Republicans runs neck and neck with the Democrats. This isn't something about Democrats or Republicans. This is something about the political class in general, and the fact that they so believe in their various missions that they believe in using any means necessary to attain their short-term goals, even including costing the United States this exorbitant privilege which comes from maintaining the world's reserve currency.